Welcome to another edition of Century Today. I am your host, Amy Rawson, Communication Faculty. Students at Century College have been working all semester on this show, interviewing guests and putting together short segments to share with us today. Century College is a member of Minnesota State, located in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. As one of the largest two-year colleges in Minnesota, Century trains and educates over 21,000 credit and non-credit students per year. Between degrees, diplomas, certificates, and courses, there is something for every student. Flexible class schedules allow students to work or to be with family while also taking courses during the day, at night, or online. One such program is the Certificate in Communication Studies. The Certificate in Communication Studies is intended to prepare students for the demands of communication-rich workplaces. Students build a strong foundation in areas employers deem crucial, including interpersonal communication, teamwork, and leadership skills. This certificate can be a strong stepping stone for transferring to a four-year institution or can stand alone for advancing your career. Success comes in many different forms, and student success is something that Century College strives for, whether it is staying at Century, moving on to a four-year program, or entering the workforce. One measure of success at Century College is the retention of students from semester to semester and from year to year. Let's see what our current students have to say about Century College and the Communication Studies Certificate.
I'm Matthew Harsager.
My name is Carly Boleen.
My name is Shane Kupfer.
My name's Allison White.
I definitely want to be in a position where I'm helping others, and it doesn't matter whether it's a lot of people or a small amount of people at a time, but every day I want to be able to give back to people, give people what maybe they don't know is out there.
I want to become a nurse. I really want to work with different cultures, people that you can communicate differently with, and that's what I hope the communication certificate will help me with.
I want to have that, available to put on resumes.
It's only 16 credits, it's really good, it can apply to any major, and I figured that'd be good for nursing as well.
Well, I had already taken a small group communication class just for fun, and I really liked it, and I saw that there was a certificate which would look really good on a resume to employers.
Century seemed like the option that made the most sense for me financially, and really that was the number one reason I ended up coming here, because it was just so much cheaper per credit.
I fell in love with it right away.
Well, it is cheap and it's close to home. You get to know your peers, you get to know your professors in a much more intimate type setting, and it's more beneficial to you.
It just really fit with me, my area, where I was, and like I said before, just the environment. I like this building, I like the easy access, I like the people here. When I was 2 years old, I moved to Nairobi, Kenya. That's because of my parents. They've traveled back and forth from Africa, but they are missionaries, so I think that's probably where I get the feeling of wanting to help others, that kind of empathy for other human beings. And then going to middle school, I'm doing all these transitions, transitioning from America to Kenya and being in a whole different culture. Coming back from Kenya to America and going to high school in Roseville, the biggest challenge for me was being social. I was always focused on hanging out instead of doing homework. But that's not a good thing, That was probably where I had an issue. I think I would say I want to pursue careers that involve communication and really learn a lot more about, what it takes to be a good communicator.
I use it every day, so it's beneficial in any type of setting. And like I said before, it looks good on a resume. Like, it's gonna make you stand out just a little bit above other people going into your field.
To any students who may be considering the communication certificate program, that there's nothing to lose by entering the program. You only have stuff to gain.
Communication is a lot more interactive, that's what I feel like. I've also been in English classes and stuff like that too, and that's interactive as well, but I think the social aspect of learning the skills and getting the experience is really important. I'm also in the process creating this app, this idea that I have, that is actually like a social connectivity app, bringing people together, kind of getting to know people in the neighborhood. we don't really get to know each other a lot, you know? And for example, I like to play tennis, but I don't have anybody to play tennis with. So if I could log on to this app and see that there's people playing tennis up the street, or that somebody 3 houses down wants to play tennis right now, like they're available, I can contact them and get to know them. And I guess it might just be a platform for people to kind of connect.
I feel like the communication courses, there's parallels within each textbook. Like a lot of it is listening to yourself while listening to them.
They make you practice what you've learned, and that's more than a lot of classes here do.
Just kind of take things as they are and keep a great attitude every day. And while you're doing that, the energy that you put out will be received and, you know, brought back to you.
To keep with our theme of current students, please welcome Michael Berndt, Vice President of Academic Affairs at Century College. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I started out as an English instructor and have been in the Minnesota State system for about 13 years. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been at Century College as the Vice President of Academic Affairs.
Excellent. So in your own opinion, what do you think makes Century College different or unique from any other educational institution?
I think probably the most striking feature is we have a wide range of career and technical programs as well as liberal arts programs, about 89 different areas of study. And they can be grouped into a number of ways. For example, in liberal education, we have because we're a larger institution, we have a wider range of courses that we can offer students. So in communications, you can study everything from intercultural communication to interviewing to interpersonal communication, small group, as well as mass communication. And that's an element we have as a larger institution that's often missing from smaller institutions. We also have some very unique career and technical programs. For example, we're one of the few colleges in the country that offers an orthotics and prosthetics program, and people come from other places in the country to be able to access that program. We're very strong in design. We've got a number of both fine and applied arts programs. So everything from web design, graphic design, filmmaking and multimedia to art, fine arts, professional photography, music. Our music program has just gotten national accreditation, theater. There's just a wide range of opportunities for students to study things that interest them. Yeah.
So lots of amazing things going on at Century College.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, today's show is focused on student success. So again, as VP at Century College, tell us, what does student success mean to you?
Well, it means that we're providing the support to students to help them persist and to complete and to achieve the goals that they've set for themselves. It's also, deeper than that. It's about helping students grow, learn, mature, to become self-managing learners, to be effective citizens, to contribute to the local economy. There's many dimensions to student success. One of the things that we do, many of our students, they bring both, or they're trying to balance in their own lives career, family, as well as their education, and it's often difficult for them to prioritize their education. And so we've got to be flexible. We've got to embed support services to help them succeed, because they're often trying to manage so much in their lives.
Yes, education is a lot different today than it was even 5-10 years ago, right?
Yes, yes.
So again, our show today is focused on student success, and we're looking at 3 areas. So retention, transfer, and then students just going straight into the workforce, which we call placement. So tell us a little bit in your own view about retention, student retention at Century College.
I think students, because they're trying to manage so much, what we've done is tried to embed support services in the courses and in the programs, because what we find is that very often students don't take advantage of these services if they're optional or if they're in a disconnected part of the college from where they tend to take classes. And so Century has one of the largest embedded tutoring programs in the state, and that means we've identified courses where students might struggle, and we have another student in there who's already taken the course, has been very successful, and they're in there as a tutor, and they work with students. They have study sessions, they check in with their fellow classmates, and what we find is that not only the students who use those tutors succeed, but all the students in those classes tend to be more successful. Another thing we're doing with that embedded support is we do what we call academic alerts. So if a student, because of attendance or tests or quizzes or papers, is just not doing as well as the instructor would hope, they can ask for an alert to be sent out, and then an academic advisor or a counselor is contacted, and they reach out to the student, and then they try to provide support to help that student get back on track. And one thing we've added to that now are just a positive alert that lets a student know, hey, you're doing a great job. And that's something that we just started, and I'm getting feedback from students that say, thank you for recognizing me and letting me know that I'm doing a good job. Because for many of these students, this is the first, about 55% of the students at Century are the first in their family to go to college. And so for many of them, they don't really know if they're college material and if they're doing well, and to get that positive reinforcement is lets them know that they've made the right choice and that they're on track to reach their goals.
Sometimes that can make all the difference right there.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So tell us, in your view, what do you think is the value of a liberal arts education? Because you mentioned that Century College is different because we do offer that. So
Right. Several years ago, the system reached out to employers in a variety of industries and had extensive interviews with them to find out what their needs were. And it was interesting because you heard from employers that they want good time management and good work ethic and etiquette skills, but they wanted career and technical skills, but they also wanted strong liberal arts skills. They wanted students who could work effectively in teams, who could communicate effectively. And so this was really reinforcing for me the value of that liberal education and the value of Century in it has both career and tech and liberal arts, and the opportunity to bring them together into dialogue, so that even if they're pursuing HVAC or welding, what are the skills that people are going to need in those careers to be able to be effective and to move up? So it's wonderful to have both career and tech as well as liberal arts in the college. And our liberal arts programs are extremely strong. Students who transfer do very well. They tend to, the data that we've been able to look at, students who go on and transfer tend to do better or outperform students who often started at those universities. So it's exciting to see that.
Well, you've kind of already answered my question, but I'll have you expand on it a little bit more. Why do you think our show today is also focused on the Communication Studies Certificate?
Absolutely.
So why should someone consider the Communication Studies Certificate at Century College?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, as you've mentioned, that organizations, for them to be effective, especially as they get larger, they have to have skills in their employees to be able to communicate effectively and to understand how communication works and the complexities of it, not just between us, but larger organizations. And that certificate, and what's nice about it is that no matter what area of study you're going into, that is a fantastic complement because it's going to help you add value to the organization and being able to communicate and work more effectively with others. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's another piece of it is in a variety of industries, you have to work in teams, and your teams have to work with other units, and those units have to work with divisions, and you have to be able to understand, how do I communicate with people not only who think like me, but who think differently than me, but have valuable contributions to my project. And so the communication certificate, and I've seen during the capstone presentation, students talk about just the richness of their thinking on how to communicate effectively. And as workplaces get more diverse, then that intercultural competence is important too, and being able to understand how to communicate across differences. Yeah.
And even get your foot into the interview for the job, right? And
Absolutely.
succeed
Being
in the
able
interview.
to project and to come across and be able to project that confidence that yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. We really appreciate
It was
you
my
coming
pleasure.
on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Student success at Century can also be defined as successfully transferring to another college or university to continue education. In this next segment, some Communication Studies Certificate students shared how Century College laid the foundation for a successful transfer.
My name is Lonnie Vane, and I started Century in about in 2012, and then now I am at MSU Mankato. My family, we don't really have like a history of actually going to college, so I was one of the first in my family to actually go to college and have the full college experience. And when I started college, like at Century, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. My major was radiologic technology, but I found out that I'm not really good with math or like physics, and I noticed that the classes that I strived in were communication classes, and then I met like a lot of the staff there, and I felt like that communication classes were more like, I don't know how to say it, but like more interesting, and I had higher grades in there. And then I actually wanted to show up to class, which is pretty big. I would describe the Communication Studies Certificate as something that you really work on your own skills, like that you have as a person. And I would say like if you're shy or you feel like you don't have any direction, I feel like if you do the Comm Studies Certificate, then you'll have some sort of direction. And it's sort of like a build like on your own character. So like the first one you rely on is yourself, you know. So like the Comm Studies Certificate, it really builds like, you know, like your interviewing skills. It really teaches you how to talk to other people and like, you know, just live like in a multicultural society, you know, and how to function.
My name is Zuriel Loving. I graduated from Century in December of 2013 with my communication certificate and my associate in arts. After that, I transferred to Arizona State, where I studied journalism and mass communication with an emphasis in broadcast and sports, and I just graduated with that degree in May. Being in the program and seeing where it could take me gave me the confidence to apply to Arizona State and then pursue the sports reporting job that I knew I wanted to do. And so going to ASU then, it was a little bit hectic because Century is a little bit more close-knit and small. I really liked Century because I felt that the professors and the staff really cared about the students. If you needed help with anything, they were there to assist you. If you had any questions, they were there to answer it, even if it wasn't during class time. And that's what I found really helpful. Sometimes you would be working on a project or you would have issues going on and you would just shoot them an email and they would respond back within the same day. I also made friends here, so that was good. And even though it is like you don't stay on campus, you do stay on campus after class and you work with people that you're in class with, so then you get to know them on a personal level outside of just that educational level. My transfer was a bumpy one, just because I was so used to all of the small classes and the close-knit groups and the one-on-one communication with the professor. So then going to a school where there's like hundreds of people in your class was just a little bit overwhelming at first. And I made sure that I sat in the front, that I made myself known to the professor, like introduced myself like, hey, I'm Zuriel, I just wanted to let you know that I'm excited to be taking your class this semester. I would definitely recommend that. Once you transfer, let your professor know that you're invested, because if you just show up to class, don't talk to anyone, like, what are you doing? You're here to learn. Learning is like a conversation. It's not just, hey, I'm gonna say, what's up? I'm gonna take some notes, open the book. No, I would talk to the people around you. I would talk to your professor, because then you're building your little community within your class, and when you show that you care, I believe that helps the professor help you.
Next, we have Jessie Mason, an academic dean, here today to talk a little bit about the programs at Century and how they build solid foundations for students, whether they stay or whether they move on to another school. Welcome, Jessie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've spent most of my career in the Minnesota State as a chair at both 2-year and 4-year social science coordination, and now dean at Century College for the last about 18 months.
Excellent. And tell us your long title.
Okay. I am dean of social and behavioral science, communication, humanities, fine and performance, arts, PE, and health and translation and interpreting.
Quite a bit.
Yes,
Excellent.
over 25 disciplines.
Yes. So Vice President Michael Berndt was just here talking with us a little bit. Tell us, in your own opinion, what do you think makes Century College just a little bit different or unique or special from other educational institutions?
Well, especially the division that I get to work with every day, looking at the expertise of our faculty and the engagement of our students, seem to be particularly unique for as large a college as we are, especially our faculty dedication to student success and giving our students the best experience that they possibly get, they can have to prepare them for whatever their next step particularly is.
So you have a pretty large division and very dedicated professors and staff underneath you. So today's show is focused on student success at Century. Can you talk to us a little bit about something like the segment that we just saw, like students who come to Century and then they move on and transfer?
Well, you know, one of the things that I was surprised about when I first got to Century is not just the engagement around student success, especially all the work that had been done and continues in the area of retention, persistence, and trying to increase graduation rates among our students, from the Institute for Culturally Responsive Pedagogy to our SEED program, trying to get our faculty and staff more culturally responsive as we deal with the ever-changing world. One of the things that often surprises me in reference to student success is the importance that the students often learn about what talents they have and what skills that they can particularly hone, which a testament to how well the faculty and staff perform in their engagement of the students, with the students.
Excellent. We just watched a package of students who have come through your division and also through the Communication Studies certificate at Century College and have now gone on to four-year schools to transfer. In your opinion, what do you think makes the Communication Studies certificate strong or special?
Well, as Michael talked about earlier, you know, one of the top four things that companies particularly look for is employees with the ability to communicate and communicate well. That can be a deal breaker whether getting a job or not. And to have a certificate that symbolizes that you've persevered and you've gained and honed skills in that area is a testament, and it also can save the company a lot of money, as they spend a lot of money every year trying to get their employees to effectively communicate.
Yes, I agree with you. So what would you tell someone who is watching right now about the Communication Studies certificate?
Well, I think the intellectual capital of our great faculty, whose expertise is broad. Michael mentioned some of those, including healthcare communication, mass communication, interpersonal, intercultural, but also the unique experiences that our faculty are willing to give our students in that area so that they go out into the world with a realization that I can do this. I've seen how a certificate have changed individuals' lives in reference to coming in and not believing themselves or not having the confidence, especially as it relates to academics and as it relates to communicating with a broad audience. And just looking at reviewing some of the capstone presentation, you can tell the development of those students and how confident they are, which allows you to think that there is no doubt that they will be successful individuals.
Excellent. Well, as we wrap up here, is there anything else that you would like to say about your division or anything else about Century College?
Well, it's been a great experience. I've loved it. At first, of course, making the transition from faculty into administration. It's kind of nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it's great to be able to not only advocate for faculty, but work with faculty in student engagement, becoming more inclusive. And I think that our college is ahead of the curve in those areas as we try to progress every day, as we try to work across the units of both academic affairs and the student affairs and engagement of staff and faculty. It is really a great place to be at and a great time to be a student there.
I agree. Very well said. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. We appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So continuing education may not be for everyone. For some people, success is actually just graduating college and moving into the workforce. In this next segment, we get the chance to sit down with two Communication Studies certificate students and learn how Century College has impacted their careers.
When I was in school, they had told me that Century College was a really nice way to get your generals done, and it was a nice, affordable way.
I chose Century because I live 5 minutes away from it. I like the atmosphere, and I like the fact that if you had something going on in the morning with one class, you could pick another one in the afternoon.
It just kind of had that inviting feel when I walked in. There's a lot of diversity, and it helps kind of more real world feel.
Not only was it young people, but it was people my age who found themselves without a job after being in the employment field for 20, 30 years.
When you're in the certificate, you meet other students who are going through it at the same time as you. You get friends and you get to know the teachers, and by having that relationship with them, you're more likely to keep going here. Or there was times when, stuff happens in your life and you think the easy answer is just to take a break from school, but it's with the people here, or your friends or your teachers, that help you kind of get through it and kind of bring you back, and will help you, if you miss a day, your friend can help you out, or your teacher can, kind of give you some advice or let you know that they're there for you. And that can help you just remain in school and kind of finish what you came for. Right now I work at an elementary school, and I work at a before and after school program. And we take care of children before they go to school and then after they go to school. We have about 80 children in the morning and 80 children in the afternoon every day. So it's a large number of kids, a lot of bodies to keep track of. And we have a small team of staff, and we just have to work together and communicate. If something happens, we have to work as a team to overcome it.
I am currently working at Roselawn Clinic, which is a Health East Care System clinic, as a radiologic technologist and mammographer. Pretty much everything helped me. I started out with interpersonal communication. I use that every day because I'm constantly in a one-on-one communication with patients and doctors.
I mean, it kind of pushes you to do a lot of things you aren't comfortable with. You have to take public speaking and present to a bunch of people and kind of get out of your comfort zone. And I think by you doing that and it making you do that, you're now ready for your job. It is scary to think about kind of what's next and where do I go from here. But I think if you're confident, you've done things outside of just being in the school classroom, I think with that and having experience, it makes it a little less scary, or you feel a little more prepared than you would if you didn't have those experiences. So I would say by taking this communication capstone or certificate, I feel kind of ready for a lot of things.
If you have the chance to come to a community college, do it, because it allows you to gradually acclimate to college life without getting thrown into a 4-year, which can be kind of overwhelming. But yeah, I miss it. I really do. I miss that, the excitement of the college here.
There's a lot going on in my life these past 2 years, so I don't know, because that certificate really created that community here for me, like friends and teachers, and I think that's what kept me going. If I didn't have that, maybe I wouldn't have even came back. Maybe I would have just took the easy out and, just said I'll do it later, and then who knows where I would be.
With us today is Adoness Turner. She is a Communication Studies Certificate graduate and also a Century College graduate who found success in moving into the workforce from Century College. Welcome, Adoness. Thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
We appreciate you coming on the show. So today we're talking about student success in a variety of ways. We've talked about retention, about transfer, and now we're really talking about just going straight into the workforce, so placement. So tell us a little bit about your academic experience at Century College, because I know there's actually a lot there, and then also how you then transitioned into professional work experience after graduation.
Sure. How I got involved with Century College was that I was the matriarch of a military family, and so we were coming back to Minnesota, and I wanted to raise my children in the St. Croix River Valley. And so I was very excited to buy a little hobby farm and be able to do that. As my older children got close to graduation, I decided maybe it's time for me to go back to school myself. And so as one of those returning students, I started looking for somewhere to go, and Century was close by. It's one of the top 2-year institutions in Minnesota. It was close to my son's school. It was the perfect location for me to go to school and pursue an office technology degree, which is what I did. And I also wanted to focus on communications because that was going to be very necessary in this field that I wanted to pursue.
So how did you initially find out about the Communication Studies certificate? Because you said you really came and were kind of focused just on office technology.
I was, and it wasn't until my very first communications course in January of 2013 that I heard about the Communication Studies certificate from my professor. And she proceeded to, say, this is a great program. It's only going to enhance, your abilities, and no matter what career field you go into, I would strongly suggest you think about it, because communication is so necessary. You cannot not communicate, and that is so true. I have found that out. We are constantly communicating, and so I was excited to pursue it in a professional way, and also to help me in my personal life as well, to be able to better communicate with my children, with my family, and so that's why I chose to pursue it.
Wonderful. So it helped you professionally and personally, which is like a double bonus. Wonderful.
Exactly.
You already touched on this a little bit, but can you tell us, our viewers, a little bit more about why you specifically chose Century College? Because there are a lot of, you could have gone straight on to a 4-year. There's other 2-year colleges in the area. There's private, there's public. So what specifically about Century College really appealed to you? What did you like?
Affordability was very huge for me. I was coming out of a divorce. I didn't have a whole lot of money. I needed to be able to, pay for school, and I didn't qualify for financial aid. So all of those factors together, plus, Century is a fantastic school. It was pretty much a no-brainer. Did I want to get a top-notch education and not, pay a ton of money for it? Yes. And so that's why I chose Century College.
Excellent. So what made your experience with, going back to the certificate now, so what made your experience with the Communication Studies certificate useful or helpful or unique?
Well, it helped me out a great deal when I graduated. I found that once I graduated from my job, I was almost immediately offered a position at Century College as Outreach Coordinator and Career Navigator for the Hope Careers Consortium, which is a TAACCCT grant that is funded by the Department of Labor. And I communicate all the time, and so I was so thankful that I actually pursued the Communication Studies certificate, because when I'm out talking about our program, when I'm meeting with employer partners and other stakeholders, I'm able to effectively communicate not only the programs that Century College offers, but our unique program in orthotics and prosthetics, how they can get involved to help foster the academic success of our students. And so this whole Communication Studies certificate has really helped me to be able to not only be able to read, the person I'm talking to, interviewing. I do that all the time when I'm talking to them, trying to get them interested, is very effective. I have to be able to read body language. I have to be able to see if they're interested. I have to be able to gauge, am I boring them? How do I get them interested again? So those were all the things that I learned in Communication Studies, and I'm so glad I did.
Wonderful. So you had your education at Century College, you graduated, and then you actually went to go work at Century College. So we just want to keep you.
Well,
See?
I hope so.
Yeah, wonderful. So you already mentioned some of the classes that you took. Did you have a favorite class, or was there something that really has inspired you or really helped you in both your personal and professional lives?
Yes. The interviewing course for communications, and also I want to say the public speaking. Those two courses, I have found I refer back to those all the time. Every skill that I learn, the competencies, the lexicon, everything I go back and I use all the time with those classes. When I first enrolled in the interviewing course, I did it purely for the fact that I wanted to be better prepared to interview for a job. And then I learned it's so much more than that. And I loved it. It not only helped me with my organization skills, I find that I do outlines for everything now, which you have to do when you're preparing for an interview. And how you talk to somebody, the eye contact, the tone of your voice, trying not to have too large of pauses in between. Those kind of things were very important that I first developed in my interviewing course, and then I saw how they translated to the public speaking course. And I took the accelerated summer course for that. And I have to admit, I thought, what am I going to get out of this, I think it was 4 weeks, course. But I did fantastic in that class because it was so condensed and we were challenged all the time. I mean, it just seemed like we had assignment, and speech to speech, and it was a lot of fun, and there was lots to learn about everything, getting up there and speaking and not talking too much, which I do, and being able to effectively keep your audience engaged in what you're talking about. So.
Well, it's great to hear someone say that they actually loved public speaking and that it was fun. So everybody should pay attention to that because it's fantastic. It's fun. It's actually a good thing. Nothing to be afraid of, right? Mm-hmm. So how did the Communication Studies certificate at Century College help prepare you for even the interview for your job?
Well, in that course, we had a panel interview. That was one of the interviews we had to do. And it just so happens at Century College, they love to do panel interviews when they hire you. So that was a great preparation to know how to sit across from the audience, to be able to address everyone you're talking to be able to keep them engaged, to be able to think on your feet, sometimes the questions aren't always provided for you. You have to be able to have your information and be precise and succinct in what you want to say, but also be able to roll with a dime if they ask you a question you weren't quite prepared for. So that was very important. I'm so glad I got that out of it. Also, just resume writing, having career services come down and talk with us about how to create our resumes, and important parts to put in there were very important, and we got all of that in that course.
So that helped you a lot for your
interview.
Did. Wonderful. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about that helped you prepare you for your job now?
I would say every portion of it, from the multicultural studies. I find that I do talk with a lot of people from different countries, and so understanding who they are, first of all, I always try to make sure I research that ahead of time. I want to make sure I'm talking with them, not to them, not at them. That's very important, and being able to have a respectful dialogue, and if you do hit that communication boundary, be able to know how to, deal with it quickly, problem solve. That was one of our skills that we learned, and be able to continue on to have a productive meeting. So I got that out of there. And nonverbal, boy, you can read a lot about everything that's going on from that class. And we did a lot of team building, so being able to work with a team now, I was able to learn what it was like to do group work, to have that leadership position from time to time where I'm leading, what's going on. Those things we've all learned in these different classes, and to be able to now take that to the job I do now is fantastic. I love it. I mean, I can't say enough about the Communication Studies certificate. I actually think it should be a prerequisite for everybody who works there to take it, because communication is so important, and we find that a lot of issues that come up happen because we miscommunicate. And it would be so easy to resolve that if we just were more in tune with proper communication and know how to do it.
Yes, wonderful. I agree with you. So finally, to any viewers who are out there watching right now who might be considering the Communication Studies certificate, or even considering coming to Century College for the first time, or maybe even coming back to school, what would you say to those viewers right now?
I would say, Century College, first of all, is the best school to come to. I can't say enough about it. I mean, I'm an alumni. I work there. I love talking about Century. I would not be as passionate about it if I didn't believe in the institution in itself. The communication studies, I would love, and this is like my dream, to see it somehow incorporated into the generals. That it should be a requirement to have more than just maybe 2 communication courses in there, because every career path that Century College offers has to do with communication and being able to communicate effectively. I mean, we live in a communication-rich world. We have to know how to do that. And so being able to do that effectively is important. I would strongly suggest, if you're going back to school, you know what kind of career field you want to go into, you want to beef up your resume and be able to be a standout employee and potential candidate when you're out looking for a job, take that communication certificate, 16 credits, you're done, and now you have skill sets that you will use for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and you don't have to take longer to graduate to do it.
No.
You can multitask and get your goals for graduation met at the same time. So.
I did it in 2 years, and so I not only got my degree, I got my communication studies certificate in exactly 2 years. So.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. We really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your perspectives with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. We would like to thank our guests again today for giving us the time to appear on our show and talk about success at Century College. Over the past 5 years, we have had numerous students come through the Communication Studies Certificate Program, and while we have the time, I would like to share a few of the things that I have learned. Over the past several months, I have been conducting quantitative and qualitative research focused on students who have graduated Century College with the Communication Studies Certificate. The Communication Department faculty at Century College worked collaboratively to establish the 16-credit Communication Studies Certificate so that any student at Century College could graduate with an associate degree and the certificate. Another option would be for students returning to school who may already have a degree but could take the Communication Studies Certificate in order to improve communication skills and learn about communication theory in order to advance their careers. The Communication Studies Certificate at Century College offers a variety of courses, and as you already heard today, interviewing, public speaking, intercultural communication, interpersonal communication, small group communication, mass communication, and many 2000 level courses and many flexible course formats such as morning, day, evening, and online courses. These communication courses are taught in a practical environment and give graduates an edge over other applicants in job and internship interviews and professional work and professional internships, because students have not only learned communication theory, but they have also been given the chance to practice improving needed professional communication skills. The first cohort of 5 Communication Studies Certificate students graduated in the fall of 2011. My research has found that now, 5 years later, there are nearly 90 students who have graduated with the Communication Studies Certificate, and now we currently have over 280 students who have declared a Communication Studies major at Century College, which is pretty remarkable. The Communication Studies Certificate was designed to meet the needed goals for graduation from Century College so that students from a variety of different majors could get the degree and the certificate at the same time. As we have heard from our guests on the Century Today TV show today, Century College is an amazing and diverse educational institution that is focused and dedicated on student success in the forms of student retention and student transfer and placement into the workforce after graduation. The many students in the interviews for today's show are inspirational examples of real-life student success. And I would like to thank Vice President Michael Berndt and Academic Dean Jesse Mason and Adoness Turner and all of the Century College Communication Studies Certificate students, Mike Eddy, faculty in Visual Communications Technology, and all of the VCT students working on the show, and Kim Peterson, Media Production Coordinator in the Marketing Department, and the Communication Department for all of their support for my research and time and effort for this show. We hope that this show has given you new insight into all of the wonderful opportunities that are available at Century College. If you are looking for something to do this spring, come check us out at our open house on Tuesday, February 21st, 2017, from 5 to 7:30 p.m. on West Campus. A few more community events include a blood drive on March 23rd on West Campus and the Foundation's fundraising event, Futures in Bloom, on Thursday, April 20th at 7:45 a.m. And come support the VCT students at the annual Portfolio Show on Thursday, May 4th, 2017 at 5 p.m. on East Campus. Lastly, we would like to extend a special thanks to our crew from Century College's Filmmaking and Video Productions degree.
Wave up there to the camera, yay. Wave, all right, and there they are in the studio control room, good, and